This big furry fellow is called Magnus. He's our new dog. Actually, he's our first dog. But before he was called Magnus, he had another name, Frankie. And Frankie raced. Here you can see Magnus, or as he was known then, Frankie in the orange vest number 5. Magnus was born in Ireland and raced in places like Tralee before being sold and moving to England, where he raced in places such as Hove, Sheffield and Wimbledon, before ending up in Scotland and racing in Glasgow. Here are some clips from his racing days.
Confident Puma, 4 moving along shore, 5 Frankie and 6 harping on. Where we go in the lead strand and 5 breaks well on the outside from 3 and 1 as they race towards the opening bend. Trap 1, Hooverville shows great early pace into the corner and takes up the running round the opening bend from trap 5 Frankie. Then comes 3, Confident Puma, down the back straight they go, 1 and 5 locked in battle at the halfway stage. Hooverville out in front by a length and a half maybe from 5, then comes 3, 4 and 2. Hooverville at the full bend, here comes trap 5 again, Frankie with another surge as they come towards the final bend, down towards the second winning line. 1 trying to hold off 5 on the outside, Frankie from Hooverville is going to be close up towards line 5. Gets there from 1 and 3, Frankie will wait for confirmation. Looks like he's got up at the line to win. A great performance, a great final. Winning time, 29.90.
Greyhound racing may be a spectacle, but it's also a business. A very harsh business. And when greyhounds start losing, people lose interest. Some of these dogs are put down, the luckier ones are rehomed or put in kennels. We found Magnus in a kennel, and this is our story of his new life from the racing track to our living room floor.
So how did we end up with Magnus? I originally did not want a dog, but my wife persuaded me that it'd be good for us. So even though I had my reservations, we looked into different dogs, doing lots of research into different breeds and their traits, going to the local parks and observing different types of dogs and their demeanours. Then my wife came up with the idea of a greyhound. But we can't own a greyhound. Don't they need lots of exercise? Don't they need lots of space? Then we found out this wasn't the case and that greyhounds make great pets. So then we researched how to get a greyhound, and we came across our rehoming kennels in Edinburgh. This charity rehome retired greyhounds, and we thought this would be a great way to get introduced to greyhounds, as every Sunday at 10 AM they hold a walk where you can take a greyhound out for a walk and see how you get along with them and how they get along with you. So although I had strong reservations about getting a dog, we contacted the rehoming kennels and they suggested that we come out for one of their walks. So early one January, we got in the car and drove out to the kennels near Liberton to go for our very first greyhound walk.
Upon arrival at the kennels, we were greeted warmly by the staff, the volunteers, and those who attend the weekly strolls.
We were then given a dog called Jimmy, who we took for a walk, which was lots of fun. The following week we took out a girl called Lily, and on the third week we were introduced to this big ball of fur called Frankie. Frankie had just arrived from Ayrshire the previous day, and we were going to be the first people to walk him. He was a big handful at first, jumping around and pulling like crazy, but eventually he settled down and was good to walk. The following week we returned to the kennels and we reserved Frankie. This meant he would be ours to decide if we wanted to adopt him or not and take him home. At that point in time we were given the option to rename him. He did not respond to Frankie, so we thought we'd choose a different name. My wife came up with the name Magnus. Little did I know that my wife had came up with the name when we first met him, even though I had not said yes to getting a dog at that stage. I actually thought Magnus was too strong and too much energy for us to have him as first time dog owners, but Magnus was so chilled and friendly during our second visit that we agreed we would adopt him. When we went back to the kennels the following week, we chatted with other greyhound owners and asked lots of questions about caring for greyhounds, from what they eat to when they eat, feeding habits, toileting, grooming, training, you name it, we asked it. It was a great resource to have so many people to speak to, and we had a great time learning all about greyhounds. It was great to have so many different experiences and stories for these people to share with us about the first few days, weeks and months of greyhound ownership. So that was good for easing our comfort level about adopting a greyhound. We also picked up some leaflets from the charity about greyhound basic commands and training, separation anxiety and other issues, and also crate training. We also went on Amazon and bought some books. We bought the Retired Racing Greyhounds for Dummies book and Adopting the Racing Greyhound. We read both these books and they're very, very useful and very, very helpful and a great resource, and I'd recommend these to anyone who's considering adopting a greyhound. So today is the day that we're going to take Magnus home with us. Before we do that, we're going to go to the greyhound kennels one last time, take him for the Sunday walk, and then he'll be back here this afternoon. A bit nervous but excited. I think we've got the place mostly ready for his arrival, so we'll see how it goes. It was quite surreal walking Magnus that last week, knowing that in a couple of hours he was going to be our responsibility and in our home. But Magnus was very happy that day, very happy to see us, and I guess he had no idea of what was coming, but he was in good spirits and we're very excited about bringing him home. We're just getting ready for Magnus's arrival. We've got a little red house collar for Magnus and some towels in case there's any accidents in the house on standby. We've got a nice cuddly bed for Magnus, a little cuddly toy and a little blanket. If he doesn't like that, we have a second bed as well. We've also set up his crate in our bedroom through here. Put a little blanket on top and we've got a little duvet inside for Magnus so he's nice and comfy. He's arriving here momentarily. Well, Magnus has just arrived. We got him upstairs. A little bit of a challenge because he didn't know how to do stairs. But we got him up. Just gave him a little bit of grooming to feel a bit relaxed because he seems to enjoy it. A little bit stressed, aren't you, Magnus? A little bit of panting, but that was expected. Quite a transition coming from the kennels to our home. But you're doing well, aren't you, buddy? Yeah. So this is Magnus's first day. He's a bit nervous, so he's been panting a bit, but we've managed to get him to go to his crate happily enough in his bed. And he seems happy enough exploring the house on his own. Magnus is exploring the house right now, checking out all the different areas. He's been quite comfortable, he's not panting too much. Bit of panting, but he's happily going into his crate, which is good. Now the first day with Magnus was all about getting him settled, making him comfortable in his new home. He was panting at first, and one thing we thought I'd do to help him feel more comfortable in his new environment is take him out for a little walk. This will be the first time that he'd been on streets walking. Before this it was on the walks in the country at the kennels, and before that just on the racetrack. He did very well at adapting to the pavement and not being too spooked by any cars that drove past, so this was a great sign. He's also very comfortable and loose on the lead. Because it's his first time out in public, we also had him on his muzzle just to make sure he was safe and protected. The second day was hard as we had to do separation training. This meant leaving Magnus in his kennel while we left the room or left the flat. This was very stressful for both Magnus and us, but eventually he settled in
and even made a new friend. By the end of the first week, Magnus had completely settled into our home and was very comfortable. So comfortable, in fact, that he'll sleep absolutely anywhere he can, except in the comfy beds that we bought him. He hasn't even touched those once. But he'll sleep anywhere. The hall, the kitchen, against the table, you name it, he'll sleep there.
Well, that's it for our video of our first week with our new Greyhound, Magnus. Hopefully he settles into his new family life and enjoys being part of our gang, but we're really glad you have you, Magnus. You have a little nap now, okay? So thanks for watching, hope you found this video helpful, and if you have any questions just stick them down below in the comments and I'll try and answer them.